This episode of Simple Civic's Greenville County is brought to you by Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, providing free books to children 0 to 5 throughout Greenville County. To sign up, visit greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks. That's greenvillefirststeps.org/freebooks.
Voter turnout is notoriously low among the youngest voters in our country, with less than half of voters aged 18 to 24 turning out in the 2024 general election compared to 75% of voters aged 65 and older. And voting is just one measure of civic engagement. We want to see young people involved in all levels of government all throughout the year. Right here in Greenville County, we have 2 programs in which our local governments are actively involving youth in learning about government and advising decisions. I'm Katie Smith with Greater Good Greenville, and on this episode of Simple Civics Greenville County, you'll learn about the City of Greenville's Youth Commission and Travelers Rest's Youth Council Academy. We're joined by the people who know the programs best, the adults who lead the work, and 3 of the students who have participated in the program. From the City of Greenville, you'll hear from Tamika Pollard, City of Greenville Parks and Recreation Department Operations Manager, as well as Rashika Talati, a senior at JL Mann, and Isabel Cart, a junior at Greenville High. From the City of Travelers Rest, we speak with Dr. Shaniece Criss, Travelers Rest City Council member and Associate Professor of Health Sciences at Furman University, and Sage Criss, an 8th grader at Greenville Middle. We'll put links in the show notes to learn more about these programs. I hope you feel as inspired and optimistic about our future leaders after listening to these women as I did speaking with them. Well, I feel so lucky to be with 5 incredible women today who are excited about local government as I am, and who've really stuck their necks out in new ways to do some really great things with local government. So thanks so much to each of you for joining us.
Thank
you.
Great.
You so
Okay.
much.
Well, let's get started. So I would first love to hear from the young people present why you believe it's important to be aware of and involved in local government. Rashika, maybe you could get us started.
Yeah, of course. So we live in a society where every day, like you drive down, you see all of these buildings and you see all of these things happening around you. But being involved in local government makes you realize all of the little moving parts that go into the environment that we have around us. Like, for example, we have an SEC playoff game coming up pretty soon in March in downtown. And yesterday we had someone come in, a representative who works heavily in hospitality and tourism. And she was talking to us about all of the moving parts and like how she had to get grants, she had to get approvals. She has like a whole team of people helping her just to, not only attract people to Greenville, but also to boost our economy. And it's just so interesting to see how everyone works together in order to create our society that we live in today.
That's such a great example because I think a lot of us will walk downtown during an event like that and not put together how many hands from local government made that happen that is benefiting our stores and our restaurants and creating jobs. So I really love that example. Isabel, what about you?
Government is so intertwined, and also a lot of young people may not realize just how intertwined it is with our society. And there's so much thought and moving parts that go into each thing, like driving down the roads, going to school, every part of your life, basically, the city government helps to create and to keep safe and make sure it's working well and all that stuff. Like after the hurricane, there was so much stuff that the city did to help and so much that went in that not everyone knows about. And I just think it's a really integral part to our society.
Sage, what about from your perspective?
I think it's important to know about government because we always see all these things in our city, but a lot of young people actually don't know the work it takes. And also, I feel like we're always saying that, oh, if I was in charge, I would already have this and this done. But we actually don't know the amount of work it takes, even like with the smallest things. Like in TR, we have these events like for the firefighters and police officers, and it takes months to organize all that stuff.
Listeners, you couldn't see that both Shaniece and Tamika nodded so vigorously when Sage said, people don't have any idea what goes into it, because that's the life that you live as a city council member and as a city employee. So I'm sure your hearts are singing hearing these people that have come through the Academy and the Youth Commission talk about this. Tamika, let's start with you. Tell us about the City of Greenville's Youth Commission. And I'm sure you're thrilled to hear what they said, how that is exactly what you intended to happen and how you designed the Youth Commission to do that.
Yeah, so the City of Greenville Youth Commission was established in 2009. We have 22 youth commissioners serving currently out of 24 seats. And they are just a great group of young people. I'm more inspired by them than I think they will ever realize. One thing I really appreciate about them is just their heart to serve. And so that is the biggest part of being on the Youth Commission. There's also an advocacy piece. They get to be that voice for teenagers. I always say that the 2040 plan, for example, most of them will be either in their late 20s or in their 30s when that plan goes into effect. And it's something that we're working up to. So giving them the opportunity to kind of get in different rooms with council members and with city employees and other community partners that we have to kind of just share their perspective. They look at things a very different way than we do. So giving them that opportunity is probably one of the biggest things. And also introducing them to local government and kind of the effect that they can have even early on. And they know where to go for information. They know where to go if they need help. Just being a resource in their day-to-day lives in their communities. Just being that voice. That's what it's really about, just being a voice.
I love that.
Mhm.
And it's such a great point you're making about the 2040 plan as an example, because so much of what happens in local government takes years to come to fruition.
Right.
And the seeds that you're planting now, whatever sprouts, is the things that you all will, as adults and taxpayers, be enjoying and benefiting from. So to have you involved in the planting is really important.
We want active citizens.
Yeah.
Whether they choose to, return to this area or not, we want them to be active in the communities that they're in. And of course, we're always hoping that, some of them will join us as council members or as city employees and influence in that way as well, but at least as active citizens.
Yeah, that's great. Shaniece, what about from your perspective in Travelers Rest?
So we have the Youth Council Academy, and it's our second year with it, which is really exciting. But the first year, Sage and I actually met with our city administrator, Shannon Herman, and we were thinking, what's the vision? I wanted to make sure middle school students knew that they had a voice in Travelers Rest now. So Sage and I met, and we came up with the Youth Council Academy. And so we have middle school students come in on a Saturday morning. We tell them all the aspects of city council, the committees, the different pieces of the city. We talk about how you can participate in council meetings and that they have a voice as a middle schooler to participate in the meetings. Then the next Monday, we have a city council meeting, a committee meeting, and they actually come and speak with us at the podium and tell us their ideas. And so that's something that's been really exciting. And we have 20 students that can go through the academy each time. So we had 20 the first year, and we are about to have our second one in March, and we already have our 20 students. So this is something that people want. Parents are excited, students are excited to see that they can come there and have a voice.
I love it. And so the Travelers Rest Youth Council Academy is aimed at middle schoolers.
Yes.
And then the City of Greenville's Youth Commission is for high schoolers, correct?
Correct. Eligibility requirements for the City of Greenville Youth Commission, they have to either be a city resident or attend a city school. So that's pretty much the basics. Aside from that, again, heart to serve, really wanting to be a part, be involved, be active on the commission.
Great. I know you all have seen and experienced so much, and I'm sure you've had lots of surprises and learnings, but maybe you could talk about something that most surprised you as you've gone through. Isabel, will you get us started?
Yeah, of course. So during Youth Commission, we often have speakers from the city come in and city council members, and it's very interesting to see their story and how they got there and what they do for the city. And it is a lot more than people may think. And another thing that I really enjoy doing is civic participation, and we've done a mock city council meeting, which was really fun for me because I do speech and debate. So it was fun to kind of merge those interests together and kind of live a day in the life as a city council member. So that was very interesting and cool to see.
I love it. How about you, Sage?
Something that was a surprise for me was how easy it is to actually come before city council and share something you're very interested in and something you want to persuade the city council to. All you have to do is go on their website and look You fill out a form and then they'll tell you a meeting time that you can come.
That is great. All right, what surprised you?
Okay. There's definitely a couple things that surprised me. I'd say the first was pretty similar with what Sage was talking about with how many resources are available not only online but in your community in order for you to get more engaged with the environment around you. I remember we'd have speakers coming in and we had a meeting yesterday and one of our speakers handed me this magazine and I opened it up and I saw all of these destinations and events happening in Greenville that I didn't really know existed before, and I thought it was super interesting. As well as like we can volunteer at so many places and it's easy to sign up for these volunteer opportunities. You can sit in on any city council meeting for free. Like you don't have to sign up like previously. You can just go in and sit and witness a lot unfolding. And there's some pretty big decisions that have been happening. And something that happened pretty recently is the Youth Commission had the opportunity to provide input on the recent development of a skate park that the city of Greenville is planning on creating. And we got to share a lot of our concerns with it, including like safety measures and just ideas that we had in order to improve it. And later it was then presented to city council, which was a really cool experience. And then the second thing that surprised me, and this one's a little unserious, but I used to really think that for us to get a snow day, it would literally just be completely up to the superintendent, and the superintendent of the schools would just step out of their house and see what they saw. And like if it was snowy, they'd have the final say on whether school would be canceled or not. But this past year, especially because of the Youth Commission, I've been encouraged to really look at the city social media and city newsletters, and I found out that there is an entire team, like a 20-person team, that is part of trying to figure out if the roads are drivable and that they actually, like buses will try to drive down bus routes before confirming or denying, or before finalizing if we have school or not. And I just thought it was really cool.
That's a great example. And you're making me think of a saying that one of our regular guests and co-hosts, Kelly Byers, who is on Travelers Rest City Council, talks about. She says that people often think about governments as a layer cake, that you've got your city government, your county government, and your state government. But she says it's more like a marble cake because it's all just so intermingled. And I think snow is a perfect example of that you've got county roads and city roads that have to be cleared, and the school district has to make decisions. So yeah, it's so much more complex than Burke Royster walking outside and saying snow day. So how has working on these youth programs, the Travelers Rest Youth Council Academy, and for you, Tamika, the City of Greenville Youth Commission, changed your own perspective of government since you're getting to see it through the eyes of the young people that have come through them?
I think for all of Travelers Rest City Council, we just love it. So at our first meeting, the mayor comes and speaks to everyone, and other people and staff are helping. Like we have Beth in our communications department who helps a lot. And so whenever we see those middle schoolers standing in front of us, everybody feels so inspired, and it makes us excited to know that a lot of times when you're on city council, you hear the negative of a lot of things. But when you have the students there, they're seeing the best of the city. They're talking about where they like to go have ice cream, what restaurants they would like to see, what type of shops they would like to have there. It makes me feel so hopeful to see young people who aren't disillusioned by different things yet and can move forward and know how to navigate the system. Because I think some people feel frustrated because they want to see change and don't know how to engage to make the change. But they're being equipped. And so that makes me very excited.
I love it. What about you, Tamika?
So I would just say, again, choosing maybe a different word, I would say that it's the innocence. That would be the word that I use. Being able to witness, the innocence and kind of their young minds, and being able to create an environment where they can get information and form their own thoughts and opinions and perspectives about different things that they see in the city is just very inspiring. And so sometimes they say things during meetings when they're asked to give their opinion on a topic. It surprises me, and it's very inspirational, and it's one of the reasons why this is probably one of the things I enjoy the most that I do in my role is working with them, specifically teenagers. Teenagers are not always interested in this type of thing.
Yeah.
So that's also inspiring too, that they're seeking these opportunities and seeking this information early, because this is them kind of coming in, volunteering their time, wanting to learn, and that is the most inspiring part to me. And then some of the topics that are some of the topics that they're passionate about, like sustainability or events downtown, homelessness, affordable housing, safety along the Swamp Rabbit Trail, or walkability.
Yeah.
It just, and when they tell you why they are concerned about these things, a lot of times it doesn't necessarily mimic what we as adults say. So they're coming at it from a different perspective, just one that we can't see. So I enjoy that a lot. And when I see them speak before my colleagues, it is interesting to see them kind of have an eye-opening moment as well, to see something different, because I think a lot of times, especially on a local government level, the difference between, at least to me, the difference between local government, state, and even federal is that we are right beside you.
Yeah.
We're your neighbors. We see you all the time. And so making sure that they understand that we're reachable. We are, there to serve and happy to help and happy to listen or connect them with resources. And then likewise, I think that's our goal. We want them to be able to feel equipped enough to go out and do the same at any age, but even beyond this moment.
I am guessing and hoping that you young people plan to stay involved in government after completing the programs. Do you have any specific plans or goals that you want to share with us? And Sage, maybe you could start this time.
I definitely plan to stay in government, especially my school, because this year I ran for my class representative, but I sadly didn't get it. But next year I'm running for class president. And also, I plan to always help my mom with her campaigning.
Rashika, you're headed to college next year, so you're farther along the career path than everybody. What about you?
Yeah, so I'm going to head off to college, hopefully and potentially in the Northeast, because my goal, like my career goals, I really want to work up in DC for the federal government. And I actually declared my major as a double in poli-sci or political science and economics. So I'm really excited to pursue that. And hopefully, like the long-term plan, I'd love to go work for the Senate and maybe even the executive branch, but, just staffing for legislators and learning from the legislators themselves, I think would be super beneficial to not only my personal growth, but would give me the chance to contribute to not only DC, but the country.
That's great. I'm so very excited that you want to do that.
Thank
We
you.
need good people in service. Isabel, what about you?
Yeah, so one part of the government I'm very passionate about is I do speech and debate, and I do congressional debate, which is a mock version of Congress, and I'm very passionate about it, and I hope to continue speech and debate in college, and I also want to take classes that involve Congress and different kinds of government, and I actually want to be a filmmaker, and so although it may sound so different from government, I think there are a lot of sectors where they intertwine, and so I'm excited to study both of those in college.
Outstanding. Shaniece and Tamika, you all get to see the magic of this every day as you see students learn and get more involved. Talk about how your colleagues have responded, whether it's council members or other staffers in the city. What have they said as they've watched students go through this? Maybe you could start, Shaniece.
Sure. They are always saying that our future is in the right hands and to see that they're understanding the process. And we have seen changes being made in our city from young people. They saw something with the park, and one person was like, why can't we skateboard at the park? You're talking about the skateboarding with Greenville. And we thought about it, and we listened, and we said, well, we can't let people skateboard at the park. Why don't we have that rule? And so actually seeing changes. But another thing that I really want to talk about is how the parents feel. And so when they're at the city council meeting and they see their child presenting ideas of how to make our community better, you see so many looks of just how proud everybody is. And I also think it pulls in the parents to such a point that Travelers Rest just started Civics 101 for adults. It's intergenerational and it's very impactful.
Outstanding. All right, what about you, Tamika?
Everyone, literally everyone, enjoys seeing engagement from, again, teenagers. Oftentimes, their peers are interested in other things, but this is a really special group because they're really locked into being change makers. And so one thing I've wanted them to realize is that a lot of times the council meetings are great opportunities to speak. However, there's always a lot of discussion that takes place at those public meetings. So for me, it's been about making sure they understand the importance of that and trying to get them in those rooms, because a lot of times it's my colleagues and myself that are behind the scenes collecting data collecting data from their input that we are sharing for how we plan to move forward with a certain project or initiative or program. So trying to get them to understand the importance of that and really buy into it is definitely, I would say, one of the biggest benefits, not only for the city of Greenville, but also for them. We're actually giving them an opportunity to really exercise their thoughts and opinions and be a part of the actual decision making that we're doing. And so to see my colleagues kind of approach me afterwards, whether it be at work the next day, and they might say, well, who was that? They said this, and I was just blown away by that.
Yeah.
Because again, it's some of the things that are produced from them that just, we just don't always realize their perspective and how they see things. And a lot of times, again, they're paying more attention than maybe we think they are.
Yep.
So to hear them verbally express that is very rewarding, and it oftentimes can help us change our own perspectives as well.
Very well said. What would you all say to your peers about civic engagement? I hope you can't shut up about it. I hope you're all the time telling your friends, but what would you say to them about getting involved or what you've learned? Isabel, what about you?
I think it's a lot more important than people my age may think, and there's a lot that goes into government and the city that doesn't always meet the eye, and getting engaged in any way possible, whether it be volunteering or doing things with the government or working with nonprofits, I think all of these things contribute to what the government does for the city and for its people.
That's right. All right, Sage, how about you?
I think that my age group thinks, oh, when we turn this age, we can finally start helping with this. But I think no matter what age we are at, that we should always, if we're interested in something, we should always try to go for it, ask questions, look online, ask our peers and other people.
Very good. Rashika, finish us off.
Civic engagement is just a way to give back to your community in general. Like, we've grown up with so much, we've had all of these resources, but I also think it's a part of our responsibility to give back and not only encourage our peers to play a role in the decisions that shape our daily lives, but to also learn more about how the systems around us are developed and how the government works to, how the tax system works, how the school funding system works, how the road system works. It's just important to have general knowledge about what's going on around you so that you can later learn to contribute to those decisions in the future, because it's a common saying that youth are our future.
Yeah, it's so true. Whitney Houston said it best. All right, you might be listening and think, oh my gosh, I want that to be me in the next group, or I would love my child to do this. How would people find that information?
So for Travelers Rest Youth Council Academy, we have it once a year, and you can just follow us online on the social medias, and we'll have an advertisement. So our first year, we had it in the fall semester, and this year we're having it in the spring semester because we're trying to have it at different points in the year because everybody's schedule is so different. You can also email me on my Travelers Rest account, and I keep a list, and I will let you know when we have another one. I had a parent do that already. She said, please let me know when there's another one. And so I have her on a list, and I'll let her know.
Perfect. And what about at the City of Greenville?
It would be at the City of Greenville website, and just search Youth Commission, and it'll take you to a page where you can put in the application, and my information is on that page. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out, email. I even receive text messages to my work phone. So just reach out, and happy to answer those questions. But it's open for everyone. We definitely enjoy having youth from all walks of life because that just enriches the experience for everybody.
I am so grateful to the two of you for making your cities so accessible and helping build leaders of the future. And boy, oh boy, am I really grateful to you students for joining us today and for all of your time in the program and for all the amazing stuff you're about to do to make our country greater. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Simple Civics Greenville County listeners, Nathaniel here. If you've made it this far, then we think you'll really love our newsletter. Sign up for bonus content, updates, and more right in your inbox. Look for the link in the description that says newsletter to sign up, or visit us at simplecivcsgreenvillecounty.org. Find the link in the menu that says newsletter and sign up there. We'll see you again next week.